So we're going to have a conversation about many things. But we thought we'd start with introducing ourselves a tiny bit. So, Kalanidhi,
JaiShree.
when was the first time that you heard about devotees?
Oh, nice question.
Yeah.
First time I heard about devotees.
And what does that even mean? What's a devotee? What is this Krishna consciousness we're hearing about? Why is it important?
And why is it the number one game changer? Especially because we're talking about Ascension, which is something that's blanketing and touching, I think, everything and everyone, because it's so real, and everyone is going through massive transformation. And they're really awakening to possibility, and they're starting to hear things that maybe they weren't open to or available to. Like you can just take yoga, for example. Srila Prabhupada came here in the 60s, and I mean, he took the world by storm, the Western world, and it was amazing, but still the perception of it is changing. The way the world was looking at things then versus now.
Even that, there's a lot right there.
Yeah, even there.
I have a feeling there's a lot to come.
There's a lot to come. But you asked about the first time I heard about devotees.
I did.
And we said it's a game changer, so we'll come to that.
Okay.
So first time I heard about devotees, it was when I read the Bhagavad Gita as it is by Srila Prabhupada, and I received this book from a devotee that was at my college campus at Carnegie Mellon, and I opened it up and was hearing and reading so many things I'd never experienced in this life about what is devotion, what does it mean to devote oneself to God, to really form a relationship with God, to really surrender one's life purpose and align that with God and with a higher plan and a higher purpose, and be doing that in a really deep way. And that took me a long time. I'm still working on that one. Still working on that one.
Well, maybe we could, that's beautiful, beginning, and maybe just to...
Preamble, if you will.
To go a little bit deeper, which we're always doing. Could you speak a little bit about what it is you actually do now and how you've gotten there? And that way we can sort of set up just that relationship that we all experience as humans, and being in this material world, and the struggles and family and all that, and how being a devotee is a game changer, or what it even really means in this material realm.
Wow. Well, for what it's worth, I'll just go with the feeling that I'm having, and a little example. I don't know if any of you have ever ridden a Segue, but it's a pretty cool experience. It's that that big platform that you see in cities, and it goes depending upon as you lean. You just lean in one direction and it steers, and you lean in another direction.
A Segway?
Segway. Yeah, the Segways, it was supposed to be this like big game changer for transportation.
Really?
This guy invested millions of dollars. It actually was a flop because no one wanted to pay like $15,000 for this Segway.
Was it public transportation?
It was supposed to be. It was supposed to be like city transportation. It's like, think like a scooter, but like a platform with a big stand, and you would like, you lean forward.
Into it.
Yeah, and then it goes. Yeah. And it goes
yeah.
like 20 miles per hour. Yeah.
Okay. We're not talking about time travel yet, right?
No, not yet.
We're talking about actual, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But we will.
We might.
All right. So Segways, just this idea of like leaning, and then the direction going from the leaning, like that for me is what just came when I'm thinking about how devotion has changed my life. Because it says in the Bhagavad Gita that when we practice devotional service, it's like going to the roots of this tree of life, of the source of the abundance of everything. And so why would you want to do anything else than offer water to the roots? Because if you offer water to the roots, then everything comes from that and everything is nourished. So similarly, with this practice of Krishna consciousness, the idea is to come into a direct, moment-to-moment, dynamic, ecstatic, which means not stuck, so it's always changing relationship with the divine. And it's not, and it's a personal relationship. And so it's this leaning in, and so I feel in my heart, just, talking about leaning in, and with the Segue-way, it's not like it's a very finely tuned instrument. You just lean a little bit and then it goes. So with devotional life, it's sort of the similar thing. You're leaning towards Krishna, you're leaning in closer and closer to get closer, and then everything goes, and it kind of dovetails nicely with that image of the chariot
from Bhagavad Gita.
That Krishna is directing the chariot, but we still lean a little bit. But Krishna, arranges everything and just takes us there.
Beautiful. There's definitely what you say reminds me of this term right now called spiritual bypassing. Right? It's a big conversation. First of all, I just want to say that one of the reasons I wanted to do this is not. I check in all the time to. As Krishna says, the biggest obstacle to this life is the desire for name, fame, and fortune. We call it pratishta. And I'm always checking in as to why do I need to do this? I don't need to do anything anymore. I need to just be an ascension, which means being a mother, being a supporter. But my guru also says, be like a lion, right? So you have so many people.
Meow meows.
No meow meows. Be like a lion. Roar. And so there's so many people teaching, and their platform is available by just doing videos. I mean, everyone, and there's this 15 minutes of fame thing that people are doing. You have a lot of people with the astrology and everything going direct and happening that are going to come out in 2020 and share, and there already are. And I want to honor so many of those people because I find it really interesting to learn more and more. However, the caveat is that this is the information age and there's actually too much. So a lot of my clients, a lot of my students, even myself, I get bogged down with getting too much. And the answer is always going back to source. And that's why I wanted us to share, because our lineage doesn't change. It's not like a new age, new idea. And I have found, listening to these awesome individuals who are sharing so much ascension work, that they're actually going back over and over again to Vedanta. They're talking about what our teachers talk about. The real big ahas are all found in these incredible eternal sources. The Puranas, the Sutras, but of course we know the Bhagavad Gita, and then the Srimad Bhagavatam. These books, these jewels, they don't change. And spiritual bypassing is what's happening when folks are kind of making their spirituality fit their senses, perhaps, and I'm afraid we all do that. And so what you say about leaning into something that is eternal, that's pretty awesome. And it's really needed right now, I would say.
Well, it comes with a price, though.
Tell us.
Well, the price is that by leaning in and getting closer, and this goes to what's happening with Ascension right now, with the cosmic energies being inundating, our space and our planet, and what's happening with the sun, but we're basically being up-leveled by radiation. So similarly, by leaning closer into Krishna, you're also being up-leveled by his effulgence, by his aura, and if we're lucky, by his associates and his representatives. And if you have particularly good fortune to meet someone like our Srila Gurudev, that you form a relationship with, then that person actually directs that radiation in the form of precise open heart surgery to remove these deeply, deeply embedded knots and twists and tangles and blockages in our, we're not talking about chakra cleansing here. That's like, relative to what we're talking about, it's fluff.
It's fluff.
It's fluff.
It's good everyday work.
Not
and
to
it's
discredit
tools. It's like brushing your teeth and
exactly
journaling or
exactly.
It's self-care.
Self-care is a great way to put it. Self-care is a beautiful way it puts it into perspective. Like with Narayani right now, if she learned how to brush her teeth on her own, which is pretty much there, that's huge for her. Yeah. That's like a major monumental skill. 5 years down the road, that's not going to be a monumental skill. That's going to be just a regular routine, self-care. I do it every day, and hopefully it'll become autopilot. And that's what we do when we learn things. And
like the subtle body, the chakras.
Exactly. So it is something that hopefully becomes automatic for us, and it prepares us to be available to be immersed in that, the threshold of where we are right now on our spiritual life and our spiritual progress. That's beyond the chakras. And that's something that only someone like Srila Gurudev is able to, or, we call them Mahabhagavats, we call them Satgurus, they call many names, many traditions too, in different levels and different lines. This is now opening up the conversation to talk about it's going so big. It's so big. Bring it back, JaiShree.
Bring it back. So one of the things that I've found being a yoga teacher for so long is, especially actually in the school or in workshops, is once you said the name Krishna, we probably lost a lot of people. Once you say Jesus, once you say Buddha, all of these names for the divine, people are so afraid of talking about God. So let's not talk about God. Okay. Let's bring it to a very simple, one-focused ethics and morality conversation. So the thing about Ascension is that it is no longer a conversation of, is there God? It's like, let's bring it the next step. Who is God? And then, is God formless or does God have form? What are the names? What are the energies? What are the personalities? The reason yoga is so esteemed and so awesome is because that is what it goes into. That's what it starts to dissect and talk about. And no one's talking about that. I know that people get freaked out. But there is a palpable power in staying rooted in a lineage. And that's what's so missing. For me, finding yoga, growing up Jewish and growing up in America, actually brought everything together. It brought spirituality, it brought divinity, it brought myself. It brought the God in me and the God out of me, right? And I think that is so missing. And everyone's so freaking afraid to talk about it. But that brings us to another conversation, which is actually what our culture has become, which is one big fight. And it's beyond, it's like we've gone from talking about discrimination to now putting everyone into groups. So it's identity, forgetting that we're actually souls, that we're unique individual souls. It's a both and world. So
well, it's worse than that because we're basing our morality and ethics upon those false identities. And it seems like it's a really good thing because there's so much focus on treating people well and dignity and respect, which is really important. But when you do it based upon false assumptions and false first principles, then you've created a house of cards. So to drill down into the depths of our first principles, which means really taking a hard look at ourselves. So the question I think maybe that everyone can consider in terms of a spiritual practice, in terms of religion, in terms of what's right for us is what is going to support us in doing that process of self-inquiry, and who is going to be able to be that mirror for us. Like, who is really going to be able to hold that standard as not just a human being, but something beyond being human? Because I think we're in such confusion about what it means to be human right now. When you have, I'll just drop a couple controversial topics, and maybe we'll talk about them. Maybe
baby.
we won't.
Drop them
Maybe
like
we
a
won't.
hot rock.
But we have gender being completely cast into chaos. We have transhumanism. With transhumanism, which is real. We have Neuralink proposed by, this is in the mainstream. I mean, who knows what's actually going on at, the deeper levels. But Elon Musk having a company called Neuralink, hopefully this won't get this video banned, but we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll
try not to be too specific.
Yeah, creating an interface, an actual implant in the brain for computers in the human brain. So this idea of transhumanism, it's redefining what it means to be human when we are literally being fused with our technology. So those are just two things, and then you have the political dimensions to this. You have the economic dimensions with what's happening with economics. You have the climate dimensions to this with our understanding of our place in the cosmos, the cycles that are happening that we are a part of, and
that are changing,
that are constantly changing, that range in scope from solar minimums and solar maximums, grand solar minimums and grand solar maximums, the precessions of the equinoxes, where we are in the galaxy, the lifespan of the universe, what's happening with these divine avatars and personalities that yoga talks about and so many different traditions talk about. It is a huge world. Yes. And the thing is that, as you were saying before, that we're living in information overload. And this word came to me thinking about that, which is embouchure. Embouchure. See, if we had like a really high production right now, we'd have like the Sesame Street embouchure. Right,
we can do that.
We could do it. Maybe we should do that.
Tell us about that word.
So embouchure comes from the musical instruments that require you to blow air into them. So the embouchure is where you actually put your mouth and you blow air. So for a trumpet, it has a little thing, and trombone is bigger, and tuba is bigger. And so the embouchure is what directs your wind, your energy, your intention, and then channels it into the instrument. And the connection that you have with the embouchure is really what it's all about. And that's how you create sound, right? And so you have mainstream media as an embouchure for the way we create meaning, and both put sound out, but it's really more about being consumers and being passive.
What we're taking in.
What we're taking in, exactly. So they see us as an embouchure. That they see all of us through that TV, and through whatever it is, we are it's like an embouchure for everyone, direct into their psyche, and they're just blowing out and animating and playing all of us like an instrument, like a fiddle.
Like a fiddle.
They play us like a fiddle, right? So it's up to all of us to turn it around. And like the Bhagavad Gita, they talk about these conch shells that these warriors used to blow. And I don't know if you've ever heard a conch shell being blown. Maybe we'll do it sometime.
We'll do it sometime.
But it's awesome. It
pierces the soul. It's just like, it's just one tool. It's like a shofar that they play on the holiday. Tekiah, all the Jews are like, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
So what I hear you saying is that we have lots to talk about.
And
if you can believe it, this intro video that we could go on and on and on and on. And I think that the reason that we're doing this is because what I hear you saying is Ascension is the process by which we are all going to be very soon forced to turn and look at who we have become, not only as individuals, but as a collective.
To turn and look, and then also to start to activate, which means stop being an embouchure, stop being an instrument for whatever it is, and find your instrument, find your power, and connect and just put it out there, which is what we're attempting to do.
Whew! So I think this is a good time to kind of close this intro, and just to say that we, as we said, we're yoga educators, teachers. We have a yoga school. I do something called soul mapping, aka Ascension coaching, and Kalanidhi, aka Clarence, is the CEO of a company which we really shouldn't talk about because it's a separate thing. But he works and coaches children up through adults on the autism spectrum, as well as builds companies. And we are both lifetime musicians who met through music and yoga 10 years ago, and worked together on projects, and just decided to bring everything together and get married. And we are very grateful to be part of something called the Prema Bhakti Band, which chants kirtan all over the world, and we lead retreats. And we're not really doing these videos for business. We're doing them because we have been, again, instructed to help lead the way. And I would like to say that I feel the need to do this because I have been so amazed at the people out there that are putting their lives out there that could be criticized and just dogged and everything, to talk about the way that we're being used, the agendas for, what's that word, the embouchure, the way that we're being just kind of tricked, mass manipulated. These are things that are very close to home for us and that we work with every day, and we no longer can hide. So we are coming out, we want the world to know. And the thing is, oh yeah, I'm coming out. We've done videos for many, many years, but we really have not for a while. So A through Z, is that what we're going to do?
A through Z.
This man is a powerhouse of wisdom and knowledge. He's like a genius, actually. And it's been nice to be in mommy and daddy world. And we'll bring in Narayani sometime soon. But
she's the genius.
I mean, all the children right now are coming in woke. And
we mean that in a different way than I think.
We don't mean it in
the social justice warrior way.
That's not how we mean it.
Nope.
Sorry.
Not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. We're going to explain why we're using that term eventually and what we mean by it. I'm sure you're going to be hopefully inspired, maybe entertained. I'm going to give Kala the last word.
I don't know what else to say. I would say it's time to activate. It's time to stand up. It's time to expand. It's time to take up space, because this is it. This is it.
You can't get away from it, my friends. Nope. It's like a choo-choo train, and you're either going to go up or you're going to go down, and we would like you to come with us on the way up. So, we humbly bow to our Srila Gurudev on this, his disappearance day. We know that there are devotees all over the world that are doing so much puja, offering their sastan dandava pranams, their obeisances, puspanjali, and, you know, we would like to make some humble offering, and the mantras, the books that our Srila Gurudev and Srila Prabhupada have written will always outweigh anything we could possibly do, but we have to put ourselves out there. So what's the last word?
I think that's the last word. Jai Srila Gurudev.
Jai Srila Gurudev. We'll see you soon. We'll be here to peddle some more bliss at you. Thank you for watching.
Tasmai Shri